Thank you very much. So this has been a very great talk show with Eddie Okila here. I would say that first, when you think about Build Uganda, Buy Uganda, Build Uganda, we live in a free market economy. So people are going to buy your products not because it is Ugandan. No, they're going to buy your product because they love the product, because there is value that they want to get out of that product. So make sure that you're building for the customer and that it meets the standard that the customer expects. Then the customer falls in love with the product and they're hooked. They're your customer forever. Now they happen to be Ugandan, you happen to be Ugandan. Eventually we are building Uganda. Yeah, that's one thing. The other thing is be creative in your business. Adapt to change. You know, look at all the changes. Ask yourself, what has changed in the past 5 years, or what has not changed in the past 5 years? That's also a very good question to ask, and then respond to that change or that thing that hasn't changed. You know, COVID has happened. There are a lot of things that have changed currently. People are now adapting to working remotely. If you're a company, you're still asking people to come to the physical office 9 to 5. Maybe that needs to change. Maybe they need to come in a few days in a week, you know. Now you need to change your processes to allow for people to work from home even past COVID. So these are the changes. Your customers, you still want them to come to the banking hall? Maybe not, you know. Probably they can do some of these things that you require them to come to the banking hall remotely through digital channels that are existent, like WhatsApp, like Facebook, or even your website, you know. We have House of Talent here, it's broadcasting, and it doesn't have all the traditional broadcasting infrastructure that a TV station traditionally has. But here you are, you know, watching us, and you're watching us through all these channels that we have thought about and we are using. Yes, so adapt to the change, look at the things that haven't changed. If they haven't changed, then you know, build your business accordingly. Yeah, so that is my little piece of advice, and I'm also happy to receive some of the advice that you already have.
It is the Creative Industry Talk. My name is Eddie Okila, and welcome to House of Talent Television, where we bring you creative industry talk every single Tuesday of the week. And of course, depending on which type, part, place, part of the world you're watching the show, it is the Creative Industry Talk. And of course, we're continuing with our discussion on the Build Uganda, Buy Uganda, local content development. I think that this conversation was brought alive with the Facebook situation that just happened a couple of hours ago all across the world. The blackout of Facebook gave a very interesting, discussion. I attended one of the Twitter spaces last night, and it was all about local content development. How do we empower our people? How do we move on? What are the alternatives? How do we go forward? And of course, we know that some of you guys are not able to catch the show today because your Facebook is still, kaput. And of course, if you live in Uganda, you are still, Facebook and government of Uganda still doing this, all the time. So yeah, but go to Twitter. We're live on Twitter. We're live on Facebook. We're live on our, your website, www.houseoftalentuganda. But go to YouTube, share it far and wide. Coming and joining me on the show this day again on part 2 is David Okwii, the founder and the chief everything of Odukar stores, an online platform in Uganda. And of course, David was here last week, and David is back on part 2 as you requested. David, welcome back to the program.
Thank you, Okila.
Good. You are the chief everything of Odukar, as we would say it. How is it going? First of all, when you appeared on the show last week, yes, what were the responses from your people?
It was interesting. A lot of people were really excited. They got a lot of insights into some of the things that I shared, and the feedback was generally positive.
Okay.
Yes.
David, we want to start from a lighter note. Facebook blackout, the whole global situation where everyone never expected that Facebook would ever go. It was not an, it was an ad of situation. You know. Had you ever thought that Facebook would easily go off like that? And this time around for more hours? What's your take?
When you're as big as Facebook, you become too big to fail.
Yes.
You are like more like the Titanic, you know, too big to sink.
Yes.
But this infrastructure is built by humans who are fallible. We fail all the time. So this is rare, but it can happen to just about any company out there, regardless of the size.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, in 2019, we had a situation where Facebook went off for at least 1 hour.
Yes.
And they were able to, you know, turn around things very quickly. This time around, it was more than 6 hours for people who live in Africa. I don't know. I think
it was global. It was a global blackout, including the US. Yes.
Yes. And I attended some of the Twitter Spaces discussion yesterday. Luckily, Twitter was on, and it's you know, owned by the same guys. So I was wondering what was the. It was mainly WhatsApp, Facebook. I mean, WhatsApp, Facebook, and then I think Instagram. That was
Instagram.
Totally
Yes.
yeah. What sort of sense did that give you, David?
I think that gave me. I sort of got the idea that. We have to decentralize the internet. Currently, the internet, as it is highly centralized onto maybe 5 companies around the world. You have Google, Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, and maybe Cloudflare, and Microsoft. And so a lot of traffic that actually routes across the internet goes through these big companies. So if our lives are heavily dependent on these companies, and you know things go down, then down goes our lives as well, and our businesses. So we have to decentralize the internet, and we have to at least allow for alternatives. We have to have smaller players alongside bigger players, so such that when there is a failure somewhere, we have alternatives.
Wow.
Yes.
I mean, some people almost committed suicide yesterday. They couldn't fathom the fact that they are not online, they're not on Facebook. The millennials were running mad. We don't know what for sure, how many numbers we have of people who are dead yesterday. In those hours, or how many people got mentally completely disturbed or sick. Because there are people who leave posting their pictures and then seeing the likes, and then want to see, hey, how many people have liked my photos, you know, what is going on? And then, you know, kaput. I think it was a good way for us to detox from the whole system of just being heavily dependent on, you know, technology for your life, particularly Facebook. You know, what do you think?
There is that, but currently things like Facebook are utilities. The same way that you have electricity. So when it goes off, you're not detoxing at all. It's just that now your life is heavily dependent on some of these tools. And so if power goes off, the whole system here is off. You know, a lot of things are off. It is a utility. It's a part of the infrastructure that we currently use. So a lot of businesses use Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram to sell their goods and services. People, you know, now you have the influencer economy. You know, people are influencing and making money out of it. You have digital marketers now who are, you know, managing a number of pages for their clients, and so you have a whole new set of jobs that are heavily dependent on these platforms and these tools. So when it goes off, it's not like they're detoxing. No, their livelihoods have also gone off.
Actually, talking of that, David, yesterday I was hearing a lot of different, you know, organizations and companies and, you know, the small, medium businesses all across, you know, the continent of Africa and all across the world, we're all complaining about the same. There are, you know, older people whose livelihood is dependent on Facebook. I was hearing people who are older, 60 years, you know, 50, saying, I don't know what I'm going to do. My customers like this. I'm like, okay, so wait a minute. What happened to the online platforms we're talking about? A lot of these, you know, businesses, their payment are completely apparently integrated onto the Facebook system, working and payments, and so a lot of people didn't lost business yesterday or didn't make money yesterday.
Yeah.
What sort of like picture does that give us going forward from your point of view as an online platform owner?
It again shows how heavily reliant we are on these platforms. And even if you're not a merchant or a seller, you could actually be using Facebook to sign on to other services, using Facebook sign-on. So if Facebook is down, then you can't sign on to that particular service. It could be some app, even Twitter. You can sign on to Twitter using Facebook and so forth. So if that particular part of the internet is down, then you're blocked out from some of these other services that rely on Facebook for authentication and login. Yes. So that is a disaster. So people have to take note of this and figure out ways of having plan B, basically. Yes. Have plan B somewhere.
But how do we, these other platforms, yesterday we were able to see a lot of this alternative platform beginning to gain massive traffic. I would love to see what data is coming out from the 6 hours of Facebook or 7 hours of Facebook not being there. How many of these platforms were able to gain like exponentially or whatever they call it quickly into that space to basically like get as many as possible. I know, for example, that several, I don't know many numbers, but I know Instagram, Telegram yesterday had so many Ugandans going in there for the first time. I don't know what to do, and people are trying to message each other and trying to shift that. But how does that play with our system that has already been built? How do you get customers to get to that place to try and begin to interact?
So as an online store, I have to diversify my sales channels. Currently, I'm on WhatsApp, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Facebook, and then the website, and then the phone call. So those are 5 channels. So WhatsApp, Facebook went off yesterday. I was remaining with Twitter, I was remaining with the phone calls, and then my website.
And then the SMSs.
Yes, phone and SMS. So, I mean, it was late. I don't really expect orders at that time, but if that happened during the day, people would still be able to make orders by either ringing the number or going to the website that they know and make orders. So my entire business isn't entirely reliant on Facebook infrastructure. So that is really key.
Okay, that's for you. But there's a total global outcry of this thing yesterday. And a lot of tech guys were advising us, you got to think about the alternative. Nobody ever thought this was going to happen. It could be worse. It happened 1 hour. This time around it went for over 5 hours. It could be worse in coming days. Look for this. And a lot of stressful stuff. So what happened to a person who has integrated their payment for goods and services or product they're offering onto this platform? What sort of problems have they gotten themselves into when Facebook went off, from your view?
Definitely, that means that you're not able to receive orders, or you're not able to communicate with your clients, or if you're a content creator, you're not able to post content like House of Talent. I think we're not broadcasting on Facebook yesterday. So that is lost. You could potentially be losing revenue in terms of viewership and ad revenue and stuff. So this really affects people that have their systems integrated with these platforms here. Even payments, I think Facebook, WhatsApp payments are integrated in Brazil and India. So that really goes off.
Okay, but there's no loss of business, no loss of money. You can't lose money in this kind of situation, right?
You lose money in the sense that your platforms are off and you're not able to receive orders, or people are not able to view your content. So that is lost revenue. Facebook itself lost about I think $6 million in 6 hours. Yesterday. And Mark Zuckerberg's valuation, he lost about $9 billion.
So the stock dropped down.
It dropped. About $9 billion. Yeah, so that's actual money. Yeah, real money.
It's good though when the big boss feel that kind of pain also. Although it's nothing for him, could be nothing for him, but it's good to see how when he feels that. I mean, the big guy is also crying, or is he crying, or is
he's dropped to number 5. It's all about bragging, bragging with his friends, with the Elon Musks and the Jeff Bezos. You know, you're losing pride.
Yes. All right, David, we're going to just, take a break. And when we come back, we're going to dive into our conversation today of local content, which came out very likely, prominent yesterday in a discussion all across the globe. Everyone is talking about local content development. How do we harness some of our products here to be able to, do business and continue to go when the global platforms are down? Stay right there. Creative Industry Talk will be right back after this break. Eddie Okila, David Okwii, and we'll be right back after this.
Of the pack. It helps you become the trendsetter. Humankind is set in a way that they will always have a thing for the pioneer of things. Yeah. So we see it if you think about these big corporations we see in Uganda and how they advertise and the different promotions they bring. You will somehow the target market will always have the pioneer front of mind. So for me, creativity, that is how important it is, because you will get the masters, you'll be an A-lister on the papers. But if you do not know how to channel, because there's not one company in the arts or in business, as we know it, there's not a company that hires more than 10 people, and all of them are not creative. There is always creativity in a company.
Welcome back to the program. This is a Creative Industry Talk. My name is Eddie Okila, and this is House of Talent Television. David Okwii in the studio. David, welcome back to the program.
Thank you.
Just before we went for break, we were talking about Facebook situation and how it affected this kind of, the online platform, and how it's shifting the conversation around using tech for business. David, we left here last week when we were talking about local content development, particularly zeroing down to buy Uganda, build Uganda. What sort of, how do we integrate platforms to be able to do business? And you've, delivered that last week quite very well. This week we want to talk about, local content development, but particularly zeroing down to, prices. Building the platform, the product, and then the prices. Product placement, prices, and delivery, and payment.
Right.
How does it work? How do we integrate this thing to work? But first, talking from that point, yesterday there was a lot of conversation around Facebook. Many businesses surviving on Facebook, but there was a fear. They kept talking about the DNS, down, the API down, and there was something about Facebook registry down. And so many people, massive number of people across the world were worried that they would not be able to Facebook route to their website and to their businesses, to their link to their business pages. And they were not able to go to their website. How do you go about that? And why did Facebook go down?
Okay, so
speculation, of course. Yes.
No, Facebook released a statement this morning, actually, explaining the cause of the issue. So, what caused the issue was related to something within the network that went down. So, specifically, it was what we call DNS, or domain name system. So, DNS is like the phone book of the internet. Yes. So, what happened is that those records went kaput, they went missing. So it's like, you know, you have your phone, for example, and then I went and deleted the names that are associated with those phone numbers. Now, if you got back to your phone, unless you've crammed my phone number,
I can't tell this is David Okwii,
exactly.
Killer, Moses Wu,
Yeah. So you're basically in the dark. So that's what happened. The DNS system for Facebook went down. It was because of a configuration issue. Somebody went into the routers and messed up a record somewhere. And it
so
blacked
the
out
system
everything.
was actually real.
Blacked out the entire system on the data center.
But Daudi, with the kind of level of Facebook and the kind of things the kind of brain that is there, or the brains that are working there, those are kind of really smart people. I listened to Dan York yesterday or last night host, or early this morning, depending on which part of the world people are watching from. Dan York is one of the tech guys, you know, hosted a Twitter space yesterday, and he was talking about, says it should have not taken Facebook that long to sort that problem out unless others. And a lot of tech guys were saying, no, the brains there are quite good. It should not take them this long. I mean, maybe it was more than something else. So how do we bounce back from that situation?
Facebook hasn't really given details into what really went down, apart from just, you know, giving us
a guy who was
overview.
tweeting in some time, and then they took down the tweet.
On Reddit. Yes. So the details under, we don't really know how it happened. I know that these companies have redundancy, such that if one system goes down, there is some sort of backup and redundancy system to get things back online. Yes, but at the end of the day, it's really humans that are managing these networks, and humans are infallible. We are mere mortals. Eventually, someone is going to be gamed.
Wow. That's a big shot. So, Daudi, coming back to this, we want to look into the similar situation in Uganda here, where, you know, online platforms, first of all, where are we at the moment, and how are we doing at the moment? You with Odukar are running these things. I'm sure you're always looking at, you know, people around you and looking at their platforms. How do we create the online platforms first, and how do we put the products there? How do we list the products? We want to take us through that process today.
I think that Facebook for Uganda demystified what the internet was. If you just go back a few years, a decade ago, without Facebook, people didn't really understand what the internet was all about, apart from a few nerds. Actually, I happened to work in an internet cafe in my Form 6 vacation. And what people used to come to do was basically just read and reply Yahoo Mail. Yes. Yes, so someone would, walk or hop onto a taxi and travel 50 kilometers, 10 kilometers just to check if they have email. And maybe pen pals were a big deal just before social media. And then also smartphones were just beginning to pick up. That's about the early 2010s. But when Facebook came, along with Twitter and YouTube, people realized that they had an outlet to express their thoughts and their opinions, to express themselves through photos, selfies, and it was basically liberating. You could do anything. You could, build an audience. You could become an influencer, and so Facebook really gave meaning to the internet, along with all other social media networks. Yes, but maybe 4 years ago, OTT was introduced. That's when things started to slow down. Taxes, now Facebook is being blocked and so forth. So that has, there is a little bit of a roadblock or a slowdown in what internet can do and what is being used for in Uganda, because these are the platforms that people associated the internet with, and they literally thought that the internet was Facebook, WhatsApp, Twitter, and so forth.
But the internet is more than that.
It is much broader.
So in essence, I know you haven't answered the question directly, but I want to ask you another question. So, David, if you, from a software developer, from a networker, what is really internet? That's a question yesterday. People were saying internet is down globally, internet is down. It was just Facebook that was down. Internet wasn't down. So what is internet for a common person? The border guys were having a conversation last night or all across Africa. The internet is down, so now Africa is doomed. The internet wasn't down. It was just one company, big, giant company called Facebook going down for a couple of hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what is internet?
Eventually, internet is someone's computer, some big computer sitting in some server room somewhere. Yes, and cables routing around, and you have fiber cables, transatlantic and Pacific cables running under the ocean, transmitting this information. So it boils down to networks. The internet is a network of networks. Yes. Communicating with each other, built on top of computers.
Okay.
Yeah. So applications like Facebook, WhatsApp, Twitter give meaning to these networks, basically, to these cables, and they make them valuable. Yes, people are able to, make orders through the internet. They're able to communicate with family and friends. They're able to build audiences. They're able to do all these things. But eventually, at the end of the day, it's just a network of networks.
Okay. Going back to our topic, which is the local content, building the platform, online platform. People were asking, how do I start building an online platform? How do I put my goods up there? Where do I start with my product? What kind of product do I put up there? And that was some of the questions that people dropped last week when you appeared on the show. If you would want to just dive and read from there.
Yeah. You can use existing platforms like Facebook. You can actually create a Facebook shop. Yes, you can also create a shop on WhatsApp. You can upload your catalog there, pictures, and people are able to actually browse your items on WhatsApp for business specifically. Yes, but you can build a website that gives you more independence, such that when these platforms go offline, like what we've seen yesterday, you still have a channel where customers can reach you. So you can build an e-commerce website using tools like WooCommerce or WordPress, and apps if you want to. You can also build an app available on iOS and Android that people can use to make orders. My favorite is just having a phone number that people can just call and make an order for your stuff.
Okay. And so when I build that now, Dawoodi, and I have it, how do I put my product up there? How do I get people to know that my product is here?
Yeah.
Yeah. How do I, communicate the product itself?
You have to have very nice images or pictures of whatever stuff that you're selling. So if you're selling shoes, you have to take really very nice pictures or even videos of your products, and then you upload them to your profile. Yeah. Yes, on Instagram or Facebook or your website. Now, when you upload the images along with their prices, people at the very least can just view and say, this guy has this shoe, he has maybe running shoe, or he has weekend shoes, or he has office shoes, and so forth. And someone is able to say, I saw these shoes on your profile, or on your Twitter, or on your website. How much is it? How can you deliver? Or how can I make payments? That sort of thing. Yes, so once your products are up there, then the next thing now is, how do you get them to the customer? Does the customer pick them from your shop if you have a physical store somewhere in Tinda or in town? Or are you completely online? And in that case, then you have to find a way of delivering the product to the customer, either at their home or at a specified location, some sort of hub or some place that you agree on. Yes, and when the product is delivered to the customer, then now the other question is, how does the customer pay for the goods and services? Yes, the most common payment is cash. So when the product is delivered to the customer, they are able to just pay the delivery guy, could be you, or one of your delivery people, could be a border guy or whoever, and you're able to give them and receipt them at the same time. Yes, or they could send you money through electronic means, either mobile money or a point of sale that the delivery guy has gone with.
Okay.
And the transaction is then closed.
Okay. It sounds very easy, but not so very easy.
Yes.
Because to some people, I build a shop and I want now this thing to go out to the public.
Right.
How do you start to tell people, now I have this product, guys?
Yeah.
How do you reach out to the far end guys, people who like now nakapiripirit, you know, people in the,
Okay, so you have to start with your family and friends and
Yes,
your
yes.
immediate networks.
Yeah.
You know, that's why it's important to build an audience
Yeah.
online. Because now those are the people that you reach out to,
Yeah.
and then through word of mouth, they spread the word to their family and friends and so forth. So it starts to, word gets out. But you can, to reach out to people outside of your network, you can advertise. Yes, so you can advertise on Facebook, or you can advertise on Twitter, or even Google. Yes, Google, using Google AdWords and Google AdWords, I think, yes. Yeah. So you can then advertise online or offline on radio or TV or newspaper. Okay. Say, guys, visit Odukar.com. There's cool electronic stuff out there. Then people visit the website and make orders.
Okay. This is something new, David, in Ugandan context. I'm going to talk about the African context.
Right.
Our brothers and sisters in Nigeria sort of like complicated this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
They started it earlier than us, but they made it very difficult because the world doesn't trust Nigeria. Even just the card from Nigeria swiping is a problem. Amazon sort of like said, we can't transport everything.
Yeah.
Credit card in Nigeria just doesn't work. And so, like the whole African continent, when you talk about credit cards, even a debit card, when you're paying something online, is not respected. You go through like some sort of like so much. It's based on the mistrust that we have. Now, building this platform, how do we get people to actually now build trust in this product? Because Africans, sometimes we're not very honest. Yes, and that's something we need to embrace. We don't deal with honesty when it comes to running business at a certain level like this one here. How do we deal with honesty? How do you build back the the lost credibility that our brothers and sisters somehow in Nigeria? I know it has changed. It made everyone in Africa look the same.
Yeah, so it depends. Okay, so if you're buying from Amazon or eBay, or Western or whatever's marketplaces. Yes, those guys have distrust. A few bad actors here spoils the whole basket of apples for the rest of us. Yeah. But us here in Africa, we can start to restore this trust by starting with the vendors themselves, people who sell online. You need to start being legit, Yes, so that when somebody makes an order and they input their card details, they know that these details are secure, they're not going to be defrauded. Yes, so we have to work with the payment systems. That includes the banks here, the integrators, the payment gateways, developers, and a whole suite of people in between. We have to make sure that the security of these platforms are guaranteed, so that when the customer comes with their card, they know that their money is safe. It's just going to, the platform is just going to withdraw the amount that they are paying for. So that is really key. Start with the vendors, the merchants themselves, because the customer is the one who is paying, so there's really nothing on them. But the vendor, like Odukar or Jumia, or Gigi, they have to ensure that they buy back that user trust.
Okay. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, David Okwii and I are going to dig deep into the issue of pricing and, of course, getting the goods delivered to people. We've had incidences where a product is delivered and the person says, hey, I just ordered it just to check. I didn't have the money. I just wanted to see if this thing really works. And now, trust me, you've delivered the goods there. How do you deal with it? Stay right there. Creative industry. We'll be right back after this. We're talking about local content development, on online platform, focusing on Buy Uganda, Build Uganda, how you have a platform there and how does this platform work? How do you get the goods delivered? How do you start? Where do you start? David Okwii is breaking it down. We'll be right back after this. This is the Creative Industry Talk. Eddie Okila and David Okwii will be right back after this.
And now DIT, that's the reason why DIT is coming in, because we've tried to create this awareness that the designers or the tailors must be supported in this industry, and also other stakeholders, because being a fashion president, I'm not just talking about designers being a designer, but all the industry I'm talking about, the people who supply us machines. We have Kiembe people, Kiembe sewing machines. We have the people supplying us with fabrics. We have people teaching. We need journalists, people who can talk right about fashion, present nice pictures, not the pictures that people aim at, taking knickers for the models. Yeah. That's not what we are looking at. We are trying to address it nicely and properly. Yeah. So the reason why I'm doing that, abantu basobole okwekiririza that guno mulimu gwa bei. DIT has already assessed us, and many other centers that have been put outside there for people, the tailors who are already skilled, to go and be assessed so they can be accredited. If you have good thoughts, maybe you have a birowozi ebirungi you want to table in the parliament, you can as well be able to stand as a parliamentary, as an MP. You get a point. But before, luli babade batuita omutunzi na abo batunzi, like minimizing. When you fail exams, try okutunga. It's not for failures. This is for really genuine people with brains, because there's a lot of mathematics, there's so much geometry, statistics in clothing. Come on, you cannot fail elsewhere and think you're going to try. You try it, decide. Yeah.
It's a Creative Industry Talk. Welcome to the program. My name is Eddie Okila, and this is House of Talent Television. Follow us on YouTube, on Twitter, and on our website www.houseoftalentug.com. Please go to YouTube and share it far and wide. David Okwii and I are here. We're talking about some really serious stuff, local content development, focusing on online platforms, the platforms we use to buy things online. When you sit on your phone and you order items on your phone and it's delivered without you having to leave the comfort of your house, it's what we're talking about. Platforms that you go to and you say, deliver this thing to my neighbor, or to my brother in northern Uganda, or to my sister in western Uganda, or to somebody in Kenya, and they just simply ship it there, and all you deal with is payment from the platform, from the comfort of your sitting room, is what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about here on the Creative Industry Talk. Okay, David Okwii, welcome back to the program. I want the guys to just put up the topic up there so that people can follow, and I'm going to read a couple of your comments coming out from there. So we put the topic up there, and let's follow up this. Local content development online shopping platform is what we're talking about, focusing on product pricing, product placing, prices, and ordering and delivery. I think David Okwii has already talked about the product placing. How do you start an online platform? We've talked about it. We've talked about product placing. He talked about how you need to put the things together first and then put it out there. You don't put rugged pictures, unclean pictures out there and you expect people to come and buy. All right. He's also talked about how the goods and services are delivered. You must have a network of people who can deliver this, boarders or motorcycles or riders or walkers or whatever you call it, that can take there. You're not going to use an ego to fly things there because we haven't yet gotten there. So definitely going to be human to human point of delivery, and that's what David has talked about. I want to read a couple of comments coming up from people up online there. Frank Tugume, welcome to the Creative Industry Talk. Thank you very much, Frank. I know you were affected yesterday when Facebook went on. You're one of the people who couldn't do business and couldn't get your payment. Sorry about that. But Frank says, yes, I agree with you, Eddie. Facebook is too big a brand to, keep for that long offline. We don't know what happened for sure. We're definitely going to hear that. I know that they've released a statement about the DNS server that went down. We'll get to know more about that. But of course, we're here with, David Okwii talking about this. David, when Facebook went off yesterday, it was just a few other countries, people like China, that is a big market in the world, were not affected. On local content development, which is our focus today, China developed their WeChat. They were not affected. There was no Facebook affected. They didn't even know that there was a global blackout. In fact, Russia, I think, also has something, and Some people were saying Russia lit the, there was this building that was lit with some nice colors going on. It was like maybe Russia was sort of like celebrating the things going on in the US and stuff like that. I mean, and they started to embrace local content development, that we need to have a platform that will work here. Back down in Uganda, we have Ayoba. Ayoba apparently began to gain some serious traction yesterday. We are yet to know from MTN what numbers they're talking about. Do people finally get to Ayoba? But though Ayoba also has really big challenges, that you go on there, the thing doesn't work sometimes. Those are the challenges we have in local content. But there are many other pluses and minuses that we can take from. Let's talk about this. What is your view on local content, given the fact that China was not able to feel the pinch of Facebook going off, before we dive into our delivery issues?
Okay, that's a very dicey topic. It is dicey because you need to understand the evolution of the internet and how it has grown over time. So in the early 90s, it was all about the technology. How do we build this network of network? How do we connect computers together with each other so that they can talk together? So you had hackers and enthusiasts and geeks literally building this platform. So it caught on, and then in the 2000s, between 2000 and 2010, it was now about the economy of the internet. It was now making sense of this internet. That's when you had the likes of
Amazon.
When you talk
about the economy of the internet, you're talking about now money. How do we turn this to money?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
That's when you started seeing the likes of Amazon, cropping up and gaining traction. The likes of Google were starting to, gain traction, and then Facebook, MySpace and Facebook eventually. People started to figure out how to make money out of this thing, which was growing exponentially. Now, 2010s, that's the last decade. 2010 to 2020, it was all about politics. Yes, the internet was now a political tool because governments now began to notice the power and the influence that this thing had. Yes, that's when now you had countries like China or Russia breaking away and then making their own internets. Basically, when you go to China, it's a whole internet of its own that is sort of walled away from the rest of the world. Yes, and they do that for a number of majorly political reasons. Yes. Okay. So to your question about local content?
Yes, local content. Yes, because China, that is classified as a local content. We built our own system. Can we have, for example, when I'm talking about here, like let's say UG Face Chat, for example, which is now be a Facebook website for Uganda. If these tech guys can build one for us.
Now we are at a point where you have to fuse all these things. You have the technology, the economics, and the politics of the internet, and you have to tread carefully across all these three dimensions. So if you set up a Ugandan Facebook, for example, you're going to have to probably, you have to look at the regulator. The regulator probably has to come in and regulate this content, because now you're in the jurisdiction of Uganda. So governments are going to want to take a lot of interest and maybe regulate some of these platforms that are locally made. So yes, it is great to have these alternatives, but you have to look at the dimensions at play. The politics, the technology, and the economics. You have to make it work. How many internet users do you have in Uganda? You have about 12 million internet users, and maybe that's about roughly maybe 12% of the population. And does it make sense? Will I make money if I build a Facebook for Uganda for Ugandans? Will it be able to survive? Yes. So the economics really have to come in. Now remember that those platforms that are out there, the Facebooks and the Googles, have a whole monetization system that has been built in that makes these things work. They are free to you, but Facebook is making money and Google is making money because there's a whole monetization system that has been built around these networks.
Yeah.
So if you build a Facebook for Uganda, then you also have to think about that monetization system to make the thing sustainable. And then, of course, the technology, the thing should be able to have the same system uptime that people are used to. When Facebook goes offline, it makes headlines. But when Umeme goes offline, and it's not headlines at all, it's expected.
Yes. Mr. Kamocho, I hope Peter is hearing this, and how do we make Umeme going offline? But he said it does in Uganda, yes.
The technology, you get it.
Yeah.
So you have to up your technology because as we define the internet, at the end of the day, it's just fiber optic cables and computers and all that. That is actual infrastructure. It is power grids powering these systems, cooling systems to make sure that they're online. Yeah. So do you have the power systems that can reliably power these systems 24/7 without going down?
Yeah.
Such that if there is an outage, it's not that your provider, the utility company, went offline. No, it's probably something human error somewhere. So these are the things that technology has to check out, the economics has to check out, and then the politics has to check out.
Okay. So, David, look, on that note, we had people talking about Ayoba yesterday. We have Ayoba in Uganda.
Yeah.
Which are probably built started from Western Africa, I think, and so MTN is pioneering it in Uganda.
Yeah.
But we've had some challenges trying to use it. I would love to know what the numbers are, and I'll probably reach out to people like Onyaito Deke to tell us how MTN, it was the only chance 6 hours of Ayoba to make it in Uganda, but people were running to 6 hours. If Ayoba didn't make it in Uganda yesterday, then it's a problem. Because there was no any other platform. That's the only time people needed to go there.
Yeah.
Were we ready to take up this space, this opportunity presented by the global outage of Facebook?
Yeah. So you don't wait for an outage to start building your product. That doesn't work at all.
No, but the tech guys yesterday, there are some tech guys who came up with things quickly to try and test that, to say, this is a platform for us to get into this space.
It almost never works that way. You have to have a very good platform.
Yeah.
Like Telegram or Signal. These are already established platforms.
Yeah.
Such that if there is an outage on WhatsApp, people are going to rush to Telegram and it's not going to crash, or it's not going to have issues. They're going to have the same experience as WhatsApp, and as a result, they could actually get hooked there because they realize, hey, there is this thing, it works as well as WhatsApp. I could actually be here.
Yes. Although there were a number of people who were disappointed because they went to Telegram yesterday, they didn't know how to use it. Yes.
And that's the other thing, your friends have to be on those platforms because there is running to Ayoba and you're the only one there. What value does it have? It doesn't. You're just going to be in a ghost town. You're going to go back to where you were. So these companies have to actively be promoting their products, at least let them be in the face of the users, such that if there is a problem here and users rush this site, they come to you, you're ready, you're prepared. And you are able to sign them on really quick.
Not like this internet situation where we have in Uganda. We're talking about local content where telecoms are usually having, provide internet. So we are the best internet providers. And then people run there the day MTN is not having a very good day, or Airtel is having some really serious time of the month. And then, before you know it, it's overwhelmed. It's what we've seen that some other platform yesterday crashing, of course. Some people, Pinterest, I think at some point had to challenge their things, organize themselves quickly because people are looking for where to post pictures and stuff like that. They were not ready. So I agree with you. So going forward, how do we take advantage of some of these things? Should Facebook, this situation happen again, how do we take advantage? But first, before we get there, we want to go back to pricing and placing. You've talked about product placing on the local content scene here, and when we're doing online platforms. David, there has been this very, very disappointing situation happening in Uganda, or challenging situation, where I see a very nice picture from this online shopping platform, and man, it looks cool. You know, the local restaurants have done that, where the sign really look really nice. You look at the food, is appetizing, is everything is inviting, and then you go into the restaurant and sit. We've seen adverts where the food served on the table is not commensurate to the picture you are seeing, and then you're asking yourself, what went wrong? And then the customer is furious, is mad.
Yeah.
That has infuriated the customers to saying, let me first do test buy. In fact, at some point I'm going to come up with a program called Test Buy, where you buy the thing, test it, and then you buy it. So, you know, how is that working? You've seen customers ordering stuff and saying, the guy goes on a bike and delivers it, and when it's delivered, the customer says, sorry, I just ordered to just check if this thing is working. I really didn't need it. I don't have the money to pay for it. How do you deal with that?
That is really a very frustrating thing.
Yeah.
It hasn't really happened to us.
Yeah.
Maybe because of the trust that we have built with our customers. But like you say, those are things that have actually happened to other vendors out there. And I think it's really frustrating, to say the least. And I think it also has to do with the vendor himself. Yes, because if your products are legit, you know, the prices and the images and the pictures that you post about your products are eventually what other customers receive. Those customers are going to post images and praise you and say, hey, I ordered this thing from Odukar, and it's actually what it was. So all the other people that are listening will trust that what they order is what they get. Yes, but if one customer, you had a bad experience with one customer, and you send them a fake, you know, a product that doesn't really reflect what was online, now you're creating distrust. The subsequent customers are going to have to want to first try out the product and see if they are not being kuferad. Yes, basically. So I think that it starts with the vendors once again, themselves, and establishing this trust and you know, building these systems to earn that trust from the customers, that what you see is what you get. Yeah. And for us at Odukar, at least that's what the issue is. I've never received an issue where a customer just orders and just
check if you're legit and
yes,
you're real.
And if the customer actually did, will be blacklisted for life on the platform.
But that would be taken a little bit too far. You know, just blacklisting the customer. What the customer also want to build.
You have to punish bad behavior on both sides.
Well, we're talking about some of you guys who order things and, you know, and just to test, you know, David is telling us why that happened, because it's been happening. We've had a lot of people, you know, share their experiences of a customer ordered for items, we send it, and then the customer says, I am not interested in it. My experience with Goods Express a couple of years ago, people would go all the way to go and order things from Amazon just to see if Goods Express will deliver it in Uganda. So you call the guy and say, like, your item has come as a small item. He says, oh, it actually came. No, I just ordered it. Just tested it. Wow. But the thing is already here, and then so you find you have a shipload of stuff just hanging around because the customer is trying to, you know, understand. Yeah, it's a loss on your side. So we're talking about building trust. You know, trust is the foundation of business. Trust is the foundation of leadership. Trust is the foundation of sales and marketing. If you're setting up a business as a person online, if you're starting up an online platform, you need to make sure that people trust you. You've got to start with the trust from the very beginning. That's the lesson we're picking from David Okwii here. David Okwii is the founder and the owner of Odukar, you know, stores. Go online and check out odukar.com and tell us what your experience is with David Okwii's platform. There are many other platforms in Uganda, but check that one out and check other platforms out and make sure that you see it. That's what Creative Industry Talk is all about, bringing the creative ways that we can actually take advantage of to harness, you know, building our businesses going forward. David, before we take another break and probably bring to the, you know, towards the end of the show, we want to look at, you know, pricing. Yeah. I see this product very nice online. Yeah. And I'm, you know, good, and I say, man, how much is it? It says inbox me for pricing. How much inbox me for pricing? It's a turn off to a customer.
Yeah.
If I have to inbox you for pricing for a product you put out there, it simply means that you are not ready, you're not organized as an online platform owner, you know, setting up a business. It's a turn off for customers. How do we deal with it? Why do people do this a lot? You guys were in this business. Inbox me for pricing. Yes.
It's interesting. I can't authoritatively answer that because at Odukar we don't do that.
Okay.
Yes, whenever we post our products, the prices are listed on the website, or even when you post them on our Twitter or Facebook or WhatsApp. I'm going to tell you the price up front. But I think it's a cultural thing. In Uganda, there is a thing called price discrimination. You know, so you price a product based on the customer, how they look, you know, where they're coming from.
So you look at Eddie Okila, so in my suit doing this, and then you say, this guy here, this much.
Yes. If a Zungu is a Muzungu, you're going to have to give him a certain price. Yeah, so maybe inbox for price is digitizing that experience because it's happening offline. And maybe vendors are trying to build the same experience online, which sucks. But the other reason that at least I've heard from one or two vendors is that inbox for price is literally making people or trying to get serious customers. Yes, because when somebody is really serious about buying, he's going to take a step further, you know, and he's going to inboxing for price is literally a commitment. It's a sign of commitment with the customer that they are genuinely interested in the transaction. Yes, it's filtering out all these other guys who are just commenting for the sake of it and really serious buyers. Yeah, so inbox for price is like saying serious buyers only.
But that's a hard call.
That's how I understand it.
It's a hard call for me because how do you test whether... To some people, yes, it might be a good strategy, but to some people, it's a turn-off. I've had people, you know, there's been discussion around it on Facebook, on social media platforms, on WhatsApp. People are talking about WhatsApp groups. People are saying about it's a turn-off. I don't like it. I've seen people talking. If we decide to run a conversation around it or do a show on Inbox Me for prices, you will find a very many big numbers.
Yeah, but in defense of the vendors also, we've seen instances where irrespective of where you put that price of the product, you know, you post a picture, a graphic with a product and the price, but irrespective of where you put it, somebody is going to comment and say how much. It doesn't matter whether you're going to write it, you're going to put it on an image. A lot of people, at least 2 or 3 people, are going to still ask how much, and you're going to respond and say it is this much. And the next guy is going to still ask how much. Well, maybe inbox for price is okay. Let's get that out and let's only have the serious people.
Yes, Creative Industry Talk will take a break, and when we come back, David Okwii and I will dive into the last part. If you are one of those people who say inbox for prices, I think it is a turn-off for both sides, both the customer and also the vendor or the shop owner, an online platform shop owner. You know, it's a turn-off. It's something we need to harmonize the position. If you see the price, read it fast, and then, you know, don't ask questions where you don't have to ask the question. If the price is there, perhaps just say, can I pay this much? But don't say, how much is it when the price is already there? All right, we'll be right back after this. Eddie Okila, David Okwii, this is the Creative Industry Talk. Live from our studio here at House of Talent. We'll be right back after this.
Historically, furniture, woodworking has been passed on, carpentry has been passed on through apprenticeship. So that is the biggest challenge. You learn the skill, you don't get the business skill because the teacher wants to keep their customers.
Yes.
But then, due to the current development, we have the technical schools teaching carpentry. They're teaching the theoretical part, but they are indulging less business. And then the business methods they indulge in are also less practical. They have been written in books. They have not been actually applied sometimes. So I think one needs to first of all learn the dynamics. Consider carpentry as a business, as a trade. And the rules of trade are the same regardless of which trade you're going in. We have standard rules that don't change. So currently, I think it is something I took upon myself, and in our kind of business, we do have apprentices, by the way. We do take in students. They learn, especially through the lockdown. We've had a lot of them coming in and to take on the skill. But we always give them 1 or 2 days in a month where they come into the selling desk and they get to see what it means to actually do the sale. You don't have to be on the planer all the time, on the circular saw. You need to know that after the circular saw, this customer doesn't know it exists. How do you inform them that it is the step that is going forward on their object? And then we've opened up the industrial part of carpentry to the customers. They're actually very thrilled when they see how these things are done.
Yeah, so you actually take them in and show them the process, like they say, process by process, process by process, how these things are doing. Yeah. Welcome back to the program. This is the Creative Industry Talk. My name is Eddie Okela, and in the studio is David Okwii. We are talking about local content development, focusing on Buy Uganda, Build Uganda. How do we make that better? How do we make the experience of buying Uganda and building Uganda better? Of course, we're looking at local content, focusing on online shopping platforms in Uganda. They are taking shape in Uganda. COVID-19 spiral that growth all across, and as you can see it on your screen, local content development part 2 with David Okwii on local online shopping platforms. We're focusing our discussion on product pricing, product placing, prices, and ordering and delivery of this. What are kind of experiences that we're getting from? So we're talking about the prices and how people ask for it, and we're talking about ordering, and now we're going to talk about the delivery of it when it gets to the person. All right, David, welcome back to the program.
Thank you.
We're in the evening of the Creative Industry Talk today, and so far we're enjoying this discussion. So we're talking about price discrimination, where you place the thing there and then you tell the person to inbox. Don't you think that the price discrimination is destroying rather what would have been the best way of attracting as many customers as possible to online shopping?
Not necessarily. As you said, price discrimination it's a way of bargaining, just starting a transaction, and you're trying to bargain with a customer and come to a settlement of price. Yeah. Maybe it's probably being done the wrong way as it is, but we could devise ways of doing it better. eBay has an auction system, there is a best price, and then people basically just compete on the price, and then the highest bidder
takes the item.
Yeah, and it works. This is eBay in the US. Yeah, so we could develop e-commerce systems that allow for that behavior that we're used to, where a customer comes and it's really just bargaining and figuring out the best price for the product.
Okay, let me ask you, so does Odukar have this kind of system in place? Are you bringing this in place?
No, we are like a supermarket. The price is set.
Yeah, so you don't have to. Okay, so and there's this other part of it, David, where we've talked about it offline, but I need to bring it up. Where somebody posts a very nice picture of a car, selling the car, and says it's 500,000 Uganda shillings. Then you click the car and the 500, the two things don't match. And then when you click, they says the real price is 15 million, but it is 500,000. That's a very disturbing, stuff for brain of a customer who's trying to buy. Why do you, online platform do this?
I can't speak for everyone, but as an online vendor, you have to decide who your customers are, and if that pisses off your customers, then don't do it. Yes. I think that my customers wouldn't like that at all. They will be completely turned off, like you. So the price is set, and that is what it is. It is the price for everyone. whether you're black or white, whether you're tall or short, male or female, it doesn't matter. It's the price, and because it's the price for everyone, people trust that they are not being ripped off.
Okay.
It is the price. So as a vendor, you have to understand your audience, your customers, and figure out the things that they would like. There are people who would want the, the whole bargaining thing, where the price is not really set. It is something that you negotiate with a vendor and come up to a settlement. Like the way that it works even in the offline world. Yes, when you go to the market, like in Kamwacha market here, and you're looking for shoes or sandals, the guy is going to tell you a starting price, maybe 150K. And then you have to negotiate and come up to a settlement, and then the transaction is complete. So that is something that.
But is that something that online platforms should be able to have? Because I assume that when you go online, you probably didn't know how much this thing has cost you. Offline, we're talking about, items bought from Dubai. For example, like let's say 10,000 or 20,000, and then it's coming here. It's all taxes and everything paid. That product is going to be worth 60,000. All right. And the person says it is 250,000. Now, and then they says, inbox me or say this. Some people travel and they know that this is the price of this item the other side, and if you put all the tax and everything and it's here, it's at most it would be like 120,000 if you really put in the money. But there's this tendency of vendors and online platform shop managers and owners putting the price of something that would have been 50% to completely doubling the price to try and make 100% profit repatriation, rather 100% profit out of these things. Imagine, how do we deal with this? How do we rectify this? What do you think goes on to the mind of a vendor who does that? It's like extracting money from people. That's thuggery,
The thing about price is like a vote. You as a customer, you have the option to cast this vote or not. You're voting with your money. No one is forcing you to pay for that product and service. And if you agree that a certain product is 50K or 1 million, then you're saying, it is, I'm getting more from that product than I'm losing, so eventually, as a customer, you are paying, you're voting with your money. And if you agree that it is this worth, then you can go ahead and buy that product. If you don't, there are alternatives. That's the thing about online shopping. There are hundreds of other vendors that you can shop from. And if a vendor is not really giving you a fair price, you can scout around for other vendors that you think are giving the most competitive price. Yes.
Okay. And we're talking about, local content in Uganda. If you put that up again, local content, and we're, focusing on local content basing on online shopping platforms in Uganda. There are a number of them. Jumia is one of them. Odukar is one of them. I think, Signature or Signet is one of them. There are many names that relate to, close to that. And all of these are trying to sell items online, okay? You've seen like the CJs have begun to sell food online. You go and order, and you've got all these guys, Glovo, now beginning to deliver food, and all these guys who are into delivery of products. David, as we wind up the show, we want to talk about the delivery experience.
Yes.
The guy has, taken a bike. You've ordered, and there's this pay on delivery has become a bit of a frustration to so many people. I've heard of incidences where, the guy orders for items and ordered for shoes, just doesn't have shoes. And he sees that this is a good platform. These guys are not smart enough. So he orders for the shoes. And for this particular situation where the guy ordered for the shoes, the delivery guy delivered the shoe while he's still waiting for payment. The guy just took off and they gave him an address, and that was it. As a loss on that person. How do you deal with that situation where the customer, the other side, is a fraudster?
Wow, that is a very interesting question.
Has it ever happened to you?
It has not happened to us.
Yeah.
It is It's really frustrating. As a vendor, I think, okay, this is my philosophy.
Yeah.
You need to choose your customers before they choose you.
Yes.
You need to define your market
Yeah.
before they come to you.
Okay.
Yes. So when you're making that delivery to the customer, you have to get the money. I'll at least instruct your riders that they have to get the money before the product is handed over. Or at least if the customer is unwrapping the product to see that it is legit and so forth, the rider should also be there so that they receive the money. Usually these are customers at their homes and stuff, so the border guy can be waiting at the gate as the customer is going to test out the product or get the money, the cash, to then give to the rider. Yes, so it is an art. You have to use common sense also in those situations.
And finally, how do we creatively deal with ways of educating customers on this new normal that has come of selling things online? Of course, the situation like with Facebook yesterday, WhatsApp business being off, challenge the status quo of some of these things, and like, okay, fine, we are not able to go through this again. Should Facebook go for, let's say, and WhatsApp business go for, let's say, a couple of hours, your business is done. There are a lot of people whose livelihood were totally messed up yesterday. What other creative ways can they pick from there as we wind up the show going forward? What lessons do we pick from Facebook, and what lesson can we pick from these creative ways that we can harness our businesses to continue selling goods and services going forward?
Okay, so what's really important is that you want to diversify your sales channels as much as possible. Don't rely on just one sales channel, because that is a risk right there that you're incurring. If that sales channel goes down, you are screwed. So make sure you have multiple sales channels, and if you can control that sales channel and it belongs to you, the better. Yes, that means that you're controlling your entire destiny, you're controlling your entire stack. So that is really, really important for vendors out there. Don't just rely on Facebook or WhatsApp. Make sure that you have other channels, maybe your phone number is clearly known to your customers. If you can build a website, make sure that you have a website that you own, and you can probably also sell through other marketplaces out there that accept third-party vendors.
Okay. Well, we want to bring this show to a close today. David Okwii and I have been talking about local content development, online shopping platforms, and of course we've discussed the situation of Facebook. We've talked about starting the online business, placing your orders, getting your prices, and then of course write and delivery of these prices to the people out there. So if you've been part of this show, we want to say thank you very much. I want to read a couple of comments coming here. Edio Killer, thank you very much for the show. I think we've enjoyed the show, and it's glad to see David try and break down the situation that happened in Facebook yesterday. We are glad that we have Ugandans who can give us understanding. Personally, for me yesterday, I felt like the world has come to an end for me. It was very difficult to live without Facebook and WhatsApp yesterday. I never thought that my life heavily depended on this, but it's a lesson for me to pick. It's also a situation where the Ugandan, tech developers need to start thinking about our own social media platforms so that people don't get depressed, when things like this happen. David, I don't know whether that's something. I know we've talked about it. I don't know whether something is an opportunity there. Is there any opportunity there for Ugandans to build our own, social media platform for us to use, or Africa for that matter?
I wouldn't want to take advantage of the Facebook outage because it was only 6 hours. And people can leave, literally. They can leave without 6 hours. I wouldn't really want to base on that.
Okay.
No,
as a business.
Yeah, that would be so sad.
Okay. There are another question here saying, Edio Killer, thank you very much for bringing David Okwii back to the show. I think most of my questions were answered by David when he was talking about that. I am building up a platform right now where I can sell my Irish potatoes online. Sometimes it's difficult. COVID-19 showed me that it was not easy for my staff to get from Kisoro to Kampala, and I'm looking for ways of how I can do it. I know it's a long ride for Boda Boda to get to Kampala, but how do I get a virtual ask David Okwii, how do I develop a virtual store for food and perishable stuff, like, you know, the stuff I'm growing and selling? He's an Irish farmer,
Yeah.
and he's asking, is it possible to have a virtual store for perishable?
Yeah, absolutely. You should start with WhatsApp for Business.
Okay.
It's really, really great. Open an account, download WhatsApp for Business, open an account using your phone number, take really good pictures of that Irish, and then upload it as a catalog. You know, if you have, depending on if you have different variations of the Irish, upload them, and then share those links to your WhatsApp contacts or customers. They can actually check out on WhatsApp.
Okay.
And that hasn't really cost you much. Yeah, so that is really a very, very easy and simple way of kicking it off. The most important thing is with online is people have to see the product. So images are really important. Upload them on existing platforms, and then have them you know, distributed to the customers.
Okay. We're going to read one more too, because our time is really up. Eddie Okila, thank you very much, guys, for the show. I love what David was saying and breaking down the Facebook situation. I'm glad that the show started from there. It gave us an insight on what is going on in the world. My question to David Okwii is that if I've run through his website now, and I've seen that really some good stuff going on. I would never have thought a Ugandan is doing this. For my first time for me seeing this going on. And
Okay.
yes, but I want to have a question for David Okwii. Are the things on the website made by Uganda? Are these Ugandan products or is imported products into Uganda? If I have a product here, how do I get it listed on Odukar to be sold to take advantage of this platform? Wow, that's a question there coming for you, David.
Yeah, so the products are all imported.
Yeah.
This is high tech, which we don't produce in Uganda. Odukar currently is a single vendor platform. It's just Odukar. It's just us alone, yes, on the platform. But maybe in the future we'll open it up to other vendors. But currently it's just us.
Okay. Are you doing that just because you don't trust that some of our products here would meet the standards you've set for Odukar? Or if I start to make phone cables from here, from Masaka, for example, these guys in Masaka are very good at, you know, doing their things. If they make like a car light that looks very legit and everything, would you give them a platform on Odukar to be able to sell this product?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'll be very much interested in locally manufactured products.
Okay.
And even as a shop,
Yeah.
we are looking in that direction of, can we have some of the products that we can make here on the market? Maybe starting with low-tech stuff like maybe backpacks or phone cases and stuff. These are things that we can actually build in Uganda here for existing products and maybe scale it up from there going forward.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, everybody. David, thank you very much for coming to the program today. You are parting shots to people. What 3 things would you like to leave us with today as we move as Creative Industry Talk based on local content development? If you would summarize it for us to, take away from this interview today.
Okay, so if you're selling online, yesterday's events have really shown us that you need to be able to diversify your sales channels. Don't rely on only one platform. Whether you're selling online, whether you're a content creator, whatever it is, don't rely on just one platform. Make sure that you have multiple platforms. So if you're on Facebook, on WhatsApp, make sure that you're somewhere on Telegram. Make sure that you're looking out for local alternatives like Ayoba. Make sure that you probably have your own website, which you control, you're fully in charge of. So that if one platform goes offline, you are still able to conduct business. Your phone number is probably one of the most important sales channels or communication channels that you have. Make sure that your phone number is reachable, such that even if the internet is shut down, and it has happened, like the whole thing goes black, customers can still reach you by calling your phone number. So that is really important. 2, establish trust with your customers. Don't go for short-term profit, increase your prices to have high margins. Go for establishing a long-term relationship with your customers and build that trust. List products that are actually available in stock, and then make sure that the products that are there, it is what the customer gets offline. That establishes trust between you and the customer. Long term, that trust compounds because the customer, when he has a good experience with your store, they are able to refer their friends or family members to your platform. And as a result, your business is going to grow. So that is really important. 3, don't give up. It takes time. This, when it comes to online business, it's really a marathon. Don't go for quick results. These things take time to build. Experiment with different platforms and figure out what really works. So if you built a website today, uploaded your websites, your products, I know it's a huge investment. And if you receive maybe 1 user visiting your website or 2 per day, don't be discouraged. It takes time. Promote that website or that Twitter handle or that Facebook page. Make sure that you just do those things continuously and consistently, and over time, these things start to grow. Eventually, platforms like Google are going to index you, and they're going to know that your business actually exists, and they're going to start referring customers to your website or to your platform for free. So that is really important. If you have a Facebook page, more people are going to start following and liking your page, and eventually it starts to grow. So these things take time. Don't be impatient. Give it time, and then it will eventually pick up.
Well, thank you very much, David Okwii, for the program today. And thank you very much, everybody, for being part of the show. From us here, we want to say thank you for following. Go to our YouTube channel there, subscribe, like, share far and wide. And of course, at HTV1 is our handle on Twitter. Don't look for House of Talent. You will not find House of Talent. It's at HTV1 Uganda. And of course, our, www.houseoftalentug.com is our website. Go there and be part of the family growing big and better. Creative Industry Talk exists to bring people like this to share their ideas and creatively how can we make our experience better, buy Uganda, build Uganda going forward. It's not just about the politician talking about these things, but it's also about all of us, the private guys, putting our space together, putting our minds together and talk about it. Yesterday, Facebook went off and we're talking about the community, building a community of people to do business. That's what we're all about here. From us here, we want to say thank you. From the crew, the camera, the sound, the light, we want to say thank you very much, for being a part of the show. And we want to say thank you very much, David Okwii. We are spreading love. We have to spread love, David. Yeah, we have to spread love. Until next week, we are signing out, and God bless, stay blessed, and stay hooked to Creative Industry Talk. Share it far and wide. Eddie Okila, David Okwii, signing out.